More good women have lost a marriage into war, famine, disease, and disaster. You have talent, darling. Don't squander it.
Well, I don't think that it's something we have to worry about. I don't have any prospects.
Thank God.
You know what's crazy? Like, the British Vogue just dropped an article asking if having a boyfriend is embarrassing now. And at first I laughed. Like, what do you mean embarrassing? But then I kept reading. And babe, like, that headline wasn't no clickbait. It was really a wake-up call. Because what they were really asking was, is it embarrassing to still center your entire life around being chosen in a world where women are finally choosing themselves? Now, make sure that you stick around because I'm about to really break it down like no one else have. How even the female Disney villains they taught us to hate was actually warning us about this exact thing. The article, the fairy tales, and the villains, it is all connected. You didn't find this video by accident, babe. This message found you because you're ready to really wake up from this whole fairy tale. Hey, Rych Babes, it's Milan, and welcome back to the channel. Alright, listen, we about to get right into it, and I'll be back at the end to really break down what's going on, okay?
Having a boyfriend is embarrassing. Shut up. Like, the amount of videos I have seen on my For You page of being like, sorry, Vogue, this actually isn't embarrassing. I love my man. Can you please shut up? Like, can you please shut up? Because you're actually proving the whole entire point of the article. And I don't care if your man's not embarrassing. It's still embarrassing. And you want to act like it's not embarrassing, but you soft launched that man for 2 years. You didn't show us that man until he put a ring on it. Some embarrassment had to be in that. Having a man is embarrassing. And that's speaking of someone who's never been in a relationship and wants to be in one. A boyfriend is an embarrassment. Especially in college, I can't even lie. Sorry. Y'all are pissing me off. I'm getting pissed off. So read the article before you make that stupid video. Thank you. Mwah. Bye, darlings.
So there's been a lot of talk about the recent article in Vogue saying having a boyfriend is embarrassing. It's a mouthful. And I read the whole article. Very good article. If you haven't read it already, go read it. But my thoughts is this, right? We're in a culture of like, it's not a secret, it's private. And we already know the dating pool is cooked. You know, like just the whole dating culture is just really bad at the moment. And I feel like even worse if you're a woman of color, but that's another story for another time. But my thing is this, when you have a good man, he's a good man, Savannah. You ain't hiding him. You do not feel embarrassed at all. You only feel embarrassed about saying you have a boyfriend if you know he ain't, you know what. If he ain't, you're embarrassed. But if your man is a good man, doing all the right things, saying all the right things, you have no problem speaking about him publicly. It's not going to affect your content. It should build it up, honestly. It's not going to affect your family, friendships. None of that is going to happen when you have a good man. It's only embarrassing when you know you need to leave said man because he ain't shit.
Some of y'all need to develop your critical thinking skills, because I don't understand why people are getting upset at the Vogue article that said having a boyfriend is embarrassing, instead of looking at the deeper message of what it's trying to say. We live in a day and age where women are simply refusing to be treated like crap, all in the name of relationships and marriages, and are refusing to carry that as a badge of honor of saying, oh, I'm someone's wife or I'm someone's girlfriend, all in the name of just having a title, but behind the scenes you're being treated like crap. Especially now that a lot of men are proving that they're not doing right by women, to the point where when you claim someone, something happens, you end up looking like a fool. It simply means women are waking up and refusing to put the idea of being with someone on a pedestal, and instead they're choosing to put themselves first. Does that mean that women are anti-love and they do not want to be with someone? Yes, for some of them, they do not want to associate themselves with anybody anymore. They would rather be alone and live their own life. But for some of them, it simply means that it's not going to be at the cost of their life, their dignity, and their sanity. It simply means that women are putting the choice more on themselves and being like, I'm going to choose to be in whatever situation that I want to be in under my terms. Not because, oh, it's time for you to get married. Oh, you've been single for so long. Oh, you need to start having children. You're getting old. No, it is no longer this thing we put on a pedestal and worship. It should be something that enhances your life. And I don't understand why people are getting so upset that now women have a choice. Read deeper into what the article is saying and stop complaining.
Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? I want to talk about this Vogue article coming from an African household. And I don't want to speak for every immigrant family or every African family. I cannot tell you how many African women will graduate from college, will have their dream job and have the most incredible career, accomplish the most amazing thing, be incredible contributing members of society, and their parents will still tell them they're a failure if they're not married. Growing up as a young girl, I was considered one of the bad kids simply because marriage was the last thing on my mind, and I, for one, always said I never wanted to get married. I still remember this moment very vividly. I was very young, maybe 6, and you know how like African men, which is very disgusting if you ask me, African uncles would joke about you being their bride or like, oh, there's my little wife, etc., etc. And I stormed up and I said, I never want to be a wife. I don't like wives. It doesn't look fun. I remember how much I got scolded for saying such thing. It was almost like I said a cuss word. It was almost like I went and cast out my family and told them I wanted to embarrass them. When I read this article, I smiled. As a mom raising 2 daughters, I smiled from ear to ear because this is it. This is the society I want to raise my kids in. I want my daughters to know that marriage, having a boyfriend, or being partnered is the least interesting thing about them. I am happily married. I love being married. Not only am I in love with my husband, I think love is a beautiful thing. But do I think being married and having a husband is the most interesting thing about me? No. Do I think being a mom and having children is my biggest accomplishment? No, because there's so much more to me than just marriage. I cannot imagine where some of our African women would be if they weren't in the shackles of just needing to be married. If they weren't in the shackles of just needing to be partnered, because that is all they think they can be.
I'm so grateful Shantae Joseph wrote that article about it being embarrassing to have a boyfriend. I feel like it's one of those articles that we get every once in a while that perfectly sums up what everybody else has been fucking thinking. I have been thinking that for a while. I've been in a relationship for the past year. It's not the first thing I tell people about me. Number one, it's not the most interesting thing about me. But number two, it is embarrassing to have a boyfriend no matter which way you slice it, because on the one hand, historically, men have not earned the title of boyfriend or partner. Not all of them, but unfortunately, the majority have ruined it for the few, to the point where it's like, if you have a boyfriend and he sucks, he's terrible, he treats you poorly, you don't want to be telling people that, because like, what does that say about you? You know, it could say a bunch of things, but it's like, you don't want to admit that. But on the other hand, if you have a boyfriend and he does the bare minimum things to be a good boyfriend, it's like, okay, like he doesn't treat you like shit, like you want a cookie, like either way, it's embarrassing. It's almost become a liability for women to have boyfriends, especially if he's a bad boyfriend, because it's like, girl, what is going on with you that you're allowing that to happen when you know what a good boyfriend or a boyfriend is supposed to be? So yeah, girl, thank you for writing that article. I appreciate it.
Let's talk about this article that dropped from the perspective of a 29-year-old, just turned 29 yesterday when this article dropped, who's never been in a relationship. Shantae goes on to describe how apparently now it is very uncool and very cringy to post about your boyfriend. On one side, the idea that boyfriends are out of style, I don't know, I feel like we need to stop making everything a trend. If someone wants to be my man, and make everything centered around their relationship and their boyfriend, that is their prerogative, and I feel like they can do what they want to do. However, when I look at the other side of things, it's not really content that I gravitate towards. And I was thinking about why that's the case. I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that when we are younger, there's this idea like fairy tales, that's how love is, relationships are perfect. But then I think now with social media and just access to more information, we're really seeing things for how they are. The rose-colored glasses are off, honey. We know that relationships are not all that they're cut out to be. There's a lot of people that stay in relationships unhappily. And sometimes this content to me can seem a little bit flat and one-dimensional, and to be honest, a little bit performative, like, girl, what's really going on? You know, like show us something. By centering a guy, your relationship, you're decentering yourself and who you are as an individual. So a lot of the times the content is really focused on you, your values, your interests, your hobbies, your passions. And I think that that's why it can come off as a little bit watered down and beige, to be honest. Being partnered doesn't affirm your womanhood anymore, and it never should have. It never should have, honey. Because we are multidimensional. We're so much more than our value as it pertains to a man. And I absolutely loved this last paragraph that ended off the article. Freedom of choice as women. We should be able to do whatever the fuck we want to do and live our lives the way that we see fit. And I really think what we're realizing is we are sold a story that just isn't real. It's not real. And the reality is the data, the studies actually tell us the opposite. Interestingly enough, single women who don't get married, collectively the happiest when you look at gender breakdowns and relationship status. And a big part of that is because when a man and a woman get married, typically what ends up happening is the woman provides the man emotional support and then also support in terms of managing the household. So the man increases in terms of how much money they make, in terms of their own emotional stability and all of that stuff. Whereas for the woman, it declines. We are now seeing things for what they are. Another nail in the coffin of a centuries-old heterosexual fairy tale that never really benefited women to begin with. Period. If you haven't done so already, definitely give this article a read.
To the smart, independent woman, good salary, nice place,
Excuse my hair, I'm getting myself ready for bed, but I want to say something, only because it's a little bit odd in this statement that he made. I guess I get the whole point of the whole video, and if you watch the whole video, you'll understand what I'm about to say. But he made a statement and said, you know, for the smart, independent woman with a nice salary, nice home, he says men provide nothing for them. And all I could think to myself was, even for the woman who wasn't so-called independent, even for the woman who didn't have the biggest salary, even for the woman who was probably struggling, I don't think a lot of men, this is obviously not applied to all men, but a lot of men, I don't think men understand that they've become more of a liability and a burden. It's become more of a another issue to have to deal with. It's like, and I say this coming from somebody who is not a man basher. I personally believe that there are very good men out there. I believe that kingdom marriages are happening as we speak. I believe in marriage. I believe in union and commitment with one another. That being said, if we're speaking in the terms of just this worldview of what dating and relationship and all that is, I don't think men understand that it's not just the so-called independent, smart, high-paid woman that you don't serve a purpose for. It's women, period. Women are, a lot of women are tired. It's too much stress. It's too much worry. It's too much, because here goes the caveat. The man who isn't the integral, good character individual, you are a liability. You are a stress response. You are a trigger. You are a walking, breathing trigger. So, yeah. Let me go get my baby.
All right, love. So if you made it here, you are a real rich babe. All right. So let me just break this down for you. We grew up on Disney, and I mean with those perfect 90s films. Like, it really shaped our whole idea of love. You remember the castles, the gowns, the glass slippers, the happy ever afters. But looking back now as a 35-year-old and asking yourself, right, like, what did every single princess have in common? She was rescued, she was silent, and she was chosen.
So let me get this straight. You changed your whole self just to fit into his world. Okay? He lied to you the entire time and you still married him? So you were unconscious and no consent. Sweetie, do you know what a red flag is? So he locked you in a tower. I'm gonna hold your hands while I say this. It doesn't matter how many books he gave you, he's still your captor, okay?
And that was the conditioning. We were told that a woman without a man wasn't complete. But if you look closer, the women they called the villains, like Cruella and Ursula and Maleficent, right? Those were the ones who refused to disappear for a man. They had boundaries, ambition, and power. And that's what made them so dangerous. Like, they weren't really villains for real. Like, they were women who didn't play small, okay? So let's talk about the ones who really tried to warn us, all right?
Left, it wouldn't be for another job. Oh, really? What would it be for?
Well, I don't know, if I met someone, if working here didn't fit in with our plans.
Marriage.
Perhaps.
More good women have lost a marriage into war, famine, disease, and disaster. You have talent, darling. Don't squander it.
Well, I don't think that it's something we have to worry about. I don't have any prospects. Thank God.
Cruella once told a young woman, listen, babe, you have talent, darling. Like, don't squander it. More good women have lost their lives to marriage than any war, any famine, disease, or disaster. When I first heard that, I felt it in my soul because that was a woman who saw what was happening, right? Like, saw what happens when talent gets traded in for security. She wasn't evil, she was just honest. Cruella understood what women still tussle with today. Like how easy it is to fall in love and forget yourself in the process. She saw that marriage for so many women wasn't the happy ending. It was actually the ending, right? The end of self, the end of creativity, the end of freedom. She wasn't saying don't love. She was saying don't lose yourself in love. And if we're being real honest, like so many women are realizing that today, that peace feels far better than partnership that will cost you your purpose. Cruella's sin wasn't fashion, it was really freedom.
Sing.
Without my voice, how can I?
Don't underestimate the importance of body language. It's she who holds her tongue who gets a man.
So the next thing I want to talk about is the woman who warned us about losing our voice, the Little Mermaid. Okay, like listen, Ariel was very naive. Ariel gave up her voice for a man she didn't even know, for real. Like she barely met him, and society applauded her. Even I did when I was young. I was like, I want to be just like her with the fucking hair and the fish and shit. Like, no. But Ursula, right? Ursula was like, baby, listen, the one who warned her, right? Ursula was the one who warned her, who said, never underestimate the importance of body language. She was demonized, right? Ursula's message was never don't fall in love. It was don't silence yourself to be loved, okay? Like, we do this every single day. We play down our ideas. We make ourselves smaller. We shrink. We quiet. We fold just to keep the peace of a man, okay? And when we finally speak up, they say that we are too loud, too emotional, too much. Sounds familiar? So this is why Ursula wasn't evil. She was the embodiment of a woman who refused to be quiet anymore. She was powerful, wrapped in purple satin and truth.
See, I was a victim too. But no one ever treated me like one.
He did this to me so he would be king.
Another person I want to talk about is Maleficent, the woman who lost her wings to love, okay? Like, Maleficent trusted a man, and when he betrayed her, he stole her wings, the very thing that made her free. So tell me, was she really evil or was she just angry? Like, we've all seen it. A woman betrayed, silent, humiliated, and when she finally set some boundaries, we call her bitter, right? From the old women talking to the younger women, oh, y'all just old and bitter. You don't know nothing. He loved me. I'm like, okay. Maleficent's story wasn't about revenge. It was about recovery. It was about reclaiming what was stolen, because her wings were her power. Like, her rage was her awakening. And that's what's happening when a woman finally realizing that loving a man shouldn't mean losing herself, okay?
Remember to stay away from dust. Treat yourself like you want others to treat you. And know your value. And don't lower your standards. Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Now, fast forward to the 2000s. Okay, the 2000s. Listen, Miranda Priestly, right? Like, they called her cold and arrogant, impossible to please. But you know what I saw? A woman who refused to apologize for her power. When a man demands excellence, he's a visionary. When a woman does, she's a villain. Like, Miranda's real crime was being too good at what she did and not needing validation to do it, right? She told Andy, everyone wants to be us. And She was right. Miranda showed us that power does not come with permission, and that women can lead, dominate, and win without softening themselves to make others comfortable. And also, just to sprinkle in a little bit more, the evil queen, the woman who feared replacement, the one who kept on saying mirror, mirror on the wall, right? Her. So her mirror was society. Her reflection was her currency. And the moment that she no longer was the fairest, right, she became invisible, right? That's what happens when the world teaches women that your youth equals worth. Another one is Lady Tremaine, the woman who married wrong and paid the price, all right, even though she was a widow, right? She wasn't cruel for sport. She was surviving a system that made women powerless without a husband. So she had to teach her daughters, right, to marry rich and not right. Her bitterness came from experience. Yeah, she did Cinderella wrong, but we can really look at her point of view as well, right? For her perspective. And the last villain that I want to speak on is Mother Gothel, the woman who tried to protect her younger self. She trapped Rapunzel to keep her safe, not realizing she was passing down the fear, right? That's generational trauma in a fairy tale dress. Think about it, y'all. She wanted to keep her safe, keep her from the outside world, right? Mother knows best. And this brings us back to today, right? This article that we're talking about, right? This British Vogue article. And this is what stuck with me. And it said this quote, where being single was once a cautionary tale, it's now becoming a desirable and covenant status. Another nail in the coffin of centuries-old heterosexual fairy tale that never really benefited women in the first place. Who now? Wow. So no, it's not that having a boyfriend is embarrassing. It's that needing one to feel validated is. We have been programmed to think that freedom is loneliness. You don't want to be the old lady with a bunch of cats. Actually, yeah, I do at this point, right? I love my cat. I love Nico. Hey, Nico. But what if freedom is actually peace? What if the women who scared us, the ones we call villains, were the first to break the spell? Think about it. I feel like the villain era is awakening. Okay, listen, they call it rebellion and we call it rebirth. They call it bitterness and we call it boundaries. They call it evil and we call it evolution, right? Every villain we grew up fearing was just a woman who finally said, I am done playing small. Like this right here, this right here, okay? It's really a nail in the coffin. Like, really think about it, right? You grow up and that's all you ever see is, you know, my man, my man, my man. Your aunts, your sisters, your mother, your friends. That's all we talked about was getting boyfriends. Where the niggas at? Where the niggas at? Okay, like it was never really about like your goals and your dreams. It was like, oh, we going to college, we going to church to find a husband. We going to the club to find a nigga. Like it was never really nothing else, you know? And I know women who have been on a third marriage, right? Just to feel validated that they got a husband, right? I'm just so glad that I have been single from my divorce, and to be single and to step back and for me to finally, since my divorce, okay, I have been able to really like do so much. Yes, I got kids and I could have been further along without kids, but even with kids, I have been able to accomplish so much just from not having the distraction of having a boyfriend. Y'all. And I just feel like this is a generational curse breaker, right? We're not saying that you can't fall in love or that you can't flirt. Look, I be flirting with a nigga. I flirt with dudes all the time. But that doesn't mean that I lose track of myself. I lose myself. And I tell you also, I remember when I remember I was so passionate about pole dancing. I was so passionate. Me and my friend, I was so passionate about it. And then I got a boyfriend. And then I stopped coming to class. And then I got pregnant. And I said, oh, I can't do it. She was like, yes, you can. You can still do it. Come on, come on. And I never went back to pole classes. Like, that right there, when I was making this article, I was like, yeah, I was one of them. I was underneath the spell. And these villains in the stories made it seem like they were crazy, but we're the ones that were crazy for losing ourselves in the name of love. So listen, every rich babe watching this, maybe this is your sign to stop being the supporting character in someone else's fairy tale. Maybe it's your time to write your own ending, girl. Like at the end of the day, even with Cruella, like she was telling the young girl, she was like, girl, you got so much talent. Like, don't fall in love. Like, it's okay to have a boyfriend, but like, for what? Like, you got so much talent. Now you got all these babies with this man and he's living his best life. He's getting his dreams. You're just his support system. And now we will never know the talent that you have. Okay, the talent that you have because of the fact that you married this man, had kids with this man, and now he's off living his dreams and you're just in support of him. This also reminds me of the other movie I watched on Netflix, and it was about Coco Chanel. Now, she said that she never wanted to get married because she said that she watched her mother get cheated on by her father, and she got cheated on so much that she ended up dying in the bed. So she ended up falling in love with, the men who she was, having relations with. However, she never wanted to really, she had situationships, let's be honest. She had situationships with rich men, right? But at the end of the day, we would have never known Coco Chanel for what it is today had she decided to settle down and have a man and have babies and all this other stuff. No, she saw it for what it was. And she said, you know what? I can still get my rocks off. I can still do this and that, but I'm going to use their money and I'm going to fund my business. And that's exactly why we have Coco Chanel today. All right. So for every woman, y'all got to watch that movie too. Okay. It's still on Netflix, I think. So for every woman who's had been told that she's too much, too ambitious, too loud, too opinionated, too independent, they're just not enough for you, right? Because the truth is, the villains were never villains. They were the blueprint, right? And if you're ready to take your power back, create your digital empire, and start your own villain era, join me in the champagne room, girl. Listen, we are rewriting the narrative together. You deserve luxury, wealth, peace, and freedom. The link is down in the description box below. Okay, so listen, I'll see you at the top because the bottom is too crowded. Until next time, rich babes, stay rich. Love you.